Crawford Gallery in Cork is hosting this exhibition called 7. The idea behind the exhibition is that it contains 7 portraits and 7 self-portraits to mark 7 decades. I was absolutely delighted that the Crawford agreed to host the exhibition, and we've spent a few days now hanging it, and I think it's worked out very well. The 7 portraits are of, I think, 7 very interesting people in their own right. You have Noel Brown, the celebrated politician who successfully eradicated tuberculosis in Ireland when it was a curse where every family in the country seemed to have someone afflicted with this dreadful disease. Then Michael Farrell, the Irish artist, was a great close friend of mine who sadly died in 2000, the year 2000, and I painted his portrait posthumously in 2001-2002. Then there's a portrait of James Joyce, commissioned by UCD, his old alma mater, and it hangs in the O'Reilly Hall, and all the students who graduate must pass by James Joyce to get into the hall to get their diplomas or their degrees. There's a portrait of the singer-songwriter Eleanor McAvoy, who I first met when she was quite young and played for the National Symphony Orchestra. And she's quite unusual in that she's classically trained, yet works in the area of popular music. You have James D. Watson, really interesting figure, probably the most famous scientist of the 20th century. Together with Francis Crick in the 1950s, they discovered the structure of DNA, the secret of life, possibly the most significant discovery in science in the 20th century. Then you have J.P. Dunleavy, the American author who came to Ireland in the 1950s and wrote The Ginger Man, possibly one of the most amazing books describing sort of bohemian life in Dublin in the 1950s. And then the final one of those 7 portraits is of Fidel Castro, the Cuban leader. So what I decided, because these people were all so interesting in their own right, that we would commission interesting authors to write about these interesting people for the catalogue. So the catalogue contains essays by people like Tony Benn, Theo Dorgan, Declan Kyberd, and many others. So I would argue that the catalogue is in its own right an interesting thing to get hold of. The self-portraits are from a series I did in 2010, and they're kind of fairly stark, they're fairly hard-hitting. They're really about getting old and the intimations of mortality, and to try and represent that reality to the viewer.